mercy.
Assalamu alaikum, family. It's your brother Landon X. We're going to deal with the question. Well, not the question. We're going to deal with a few facts, 5 to be exact. And we're going to list the top 5 things that we need to leave behind in 2020. Let's get it.
I was told to deliver this message.
And we back, family. I'm your brother Landon X, and this is Nation Town TV Live. Let me know that y'all can hear me clearly. Apparently, certain people had issues with the audio earlier, so just let us know that you can hear me clearly. But we're gonna go ahead and get started. As you see, the actual topic is the top 5 things that Black people, Aboriginal people, need to leave behind in the year 2020. I know you want to throw the whole year away, but we're going to deal with 5 things that we did. Not what some virus did, not what some president, some orange president did, but what we've been doing that we need to put a stop to. But first, let me start off in the proper fashion. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, who mercifully appeared to us in the person of Master W. Fard Muhammad, July 1930, the long-awaited Messiah of the Christians and the Mahdi of the Muslims. I further believe that Muhammad is his messenger, but let me be very clear that when I say that Muhammad is his messenger, I'm speaking of none other than the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. Because in the Holy Quran, the book of the Muslims, we're promised in Surah 10, verse 47, in Surah 16, verse 36, that certainly a messenger would be raised for every nation. And we're also promised in Surah 14 that that messenger would speak the language of the people. With all that added up, with mathematics being Islam and Islam being mathematics, I got to tell you that this man right here is the messenger of Allah for today and for our people and forevermore. I'm speaking of none other than the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I would know nothing of Master Fard Muhammad or the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad if it were not for the majesty, the right guidance and teaching of this brother you see on your screen right now, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And in those three great names, I greet all of you in the words of peace. We say it on Nation Town in the Arabic language. That's the language that you spoke long before you knew anything about the grafted, bastardized language called English. In fact, it's the language that you spoke long before you knew anything about the bastard, grafted, so-called human that taught you the English language. I'm talking about the Arabic language, and in that language, I greet the Nation Town family with the words of peace. Assalamu alaikum. Shout out to everybody chiming in. I see y'all. Sister Valerie, all praises due to Allah. That's right. That's right. Sister Linda, all praises due to Allah. Brother Daryl, yes, sir, dear brother. Wa alaikum salam. Also, Sister Jill Muhammad. Also, Brother Jerome. Shout out to Brother Jerome. Brother Ernest. Go ahead, Brother Ernest. I see you, top soldier. That brother got hands right there. Yes, sir. All praises due to Allah. Shout out to the Nation Town family. We're going to cut through this pretty quick, but I just want to touch bases and make sure that we don't drag none of the worst parts of our behavior, from 2020 into this new so-called year. So let's get right into it. But first and foremost, let's do what we normally do and what we have to do. We have to give a shout out to the fact that all of this is brought to you by NationTownStore.com. 2020 was a fantastic year for NationTownStore.com. And the only way that happened is because there were a group of individuals, of Aboriginal people that are really, truly, honestly tired of the fact that the Aboriginal people here in America spend about 98% of their money with the same people that they call their oppressors. So I got a lot of love from the Nation Town family, supporting NationTownStore.com, and that love is continuing in 2021, and we appreciate it. And that's the whole purpose here. That's why it's called Nation Town, because we're bringing you communication and an economy. That's what you find in any town, any nation, any city, any state. You find communication, whether it's a newspaper, TV station, and then you have an economy. That's what we are attempting to bring you through Nation Town TV. So I appreciate y'all supporting Nation Town TV. And it's also brought to you by DoForSelf.net. Who else gonna do for you? If you don't do for self, go ahead and check out DoForSelf.net. Everybody's suddenly talking about cryptocurrency, but we've been talking about it on DoForSelf.net for about 6 months. So make sure you go in there, get your feet wet if you don't know anything about cryptocurrency. If you don't know anything about stealing away from your day job, I'm not talking about stealing from your day job, I'm talking about stealing away from your day job, then go ahead and check that out. It's 100% free. Let me say that again. 100% free, and you better get in where you fit in while it's still free. And we're going to be updating it with new information. Also, a couple of new things going down with DoForSelf.net in the meantime, but make sure y'all check that out. And of course, keep in mind, as always, if it's in your heart, as it says in the scripture, wheresoever a man's treasure is, so is his heart. Go ahead and hit us up with a donation at Nation Town TV, $ Nation Town, no TV, just $ Nation Town on Cash App. 10% of that goes to the Yes Ma'am program. That is meal and a message. It also includes personal care products. We're going to send another round out to the people, especially with these COVID-19 numbers going up. We're going to prepare another package of goods that we're going to hand out to the people coming up very soon. But 10% of everything that you contribute through Cash App, $ Nation Town, goes to the Yes Ma'am program. Shout out to my wife and executive producer of Nation Town TV, Sister Shauna Joy X. So let's get right into it, family. Of course, and again, shout out to everybody that's chiming in. And we're going to deal with, of course, as you see above your head or wherever you see the caption, it makes it very clear about the top 5 things that we need to leave behind in 2021. Now, hit me up with your questions and comments. Hit that like button, hit the mad button, however you feeling. Make sure you share this message, share, like. But I got to also announce another thing. Speaking of NationTownStore.com, I've been telling y'all the last few episodes that we are going to broaden our footprint on YouTube. We've been kind of neglecting YouTube. I'll be honest, we haven't done any exclusive content on YouTube for the last 3 years. We have not really paid it much attention. We've given it that red-headed, nappy-headed, red-headed stepchild treatment. But we're about to change that because Facebook ain't been treating us right. So we're going to have to move on from Facebook. We've been getting shadow banned. Other believers have been getting shadow banned, other platforms. So we're going on to YouTube. We're not leaving Facebook, but we're giving more attention to YouTube. And log on to YouTube, subscribe to YouTube, particularly on this video, because from now on, we're going to have a coupon code for NationTownStore.com for every video that we do, and it's going to be exclusive to that video and exclusive to YouTube. So all you got to do is just go to YouTube, Nation Town's YouTube page, go into it, find the actual description. There's a description under every video on YouTube, and in that description you will see the specific coupon code. It might be 2% off, 20% off, 50% off. It may even be something free from NationTownStore.com. You just have to use that coupon code when you order on NationTownStore.com. So go to YouTube, make sure that you subscribe, make sure you check every video. Even if you saw the video on Facebook, you're not going to get the coupon code on Facebook. You got to go to YouTube to get that coupon code. All praises are due to Allah. And again, shout out to everybody chiming in. I see you, Brother James, Sister Sabira, wa alaikum salam, Brother Craig, Sister Bernadette, Brother Michael, Brother Billy. Man, y'all deep. Y'all mob deep today. All praises due to Allah. Well, let's get into it because I do not intend to be on long. I mean it this time. But here's what we're dealing with. The top 5 things in the Nation Town opinion that we should leave in 2020. Leave behind in 2020. All praise is due to Allah. But here's the thing. I also want to hear from y'all. I want to hear what you think the Aboriginal people here in the hills of North America, meaning the black, also the brown, also the Native American, the so-called brown and the Native American, also our Asian family. What do you think we need to leave in 2021 that we exhibited in 2021? Shout out Brother Hakeem. He says, wa alaikum salam, Sister Shana Joy X. It's a pleasure, and I thank Allah that I'm able to do so. Nation Town. Oh, that's Brother Hakeem talking about the fact that Brother Hakeem, man, he's a big part of the Nation Town family. We appreciate your love, brother. You've been a very consistent viewer, supporter, and the whole nine. Definitely shout out to all the Brother Hakeem followers and family. That's the word I prefer, family of Nation Town TV. We definitely appreciate it. Now let's get down to the nitty gritty. Again, we're dealing with the top 5 things that we need to leave. We need to leave in 2020. We need to put it in our rear view. It didn't do us no good in 2020 or 2019 or 19 whatever. And we need to get rid of it, especially now, because I'm telling you, it's a changing of the guard. It's a changing of the paradigm. It's a complete change. Cannot a fool see that there is a complete change going on amongst the people, our minds, and there's a changing of the guard. Two things cannot occupy the same throne at the same time or the same space or whatever that space is. So let's get into it, because it's more important now, in my humble opinion, that we make a change now than it was in any previous year. trust and believe. So let's get into it. The first thing, top 5 things black people should leave behind in 2020. Number 5, gang banging. But let me be clear, gang banging of all types. Gang banging of all types. Now, when I say gang banging, first thing came to your mind: Bloods, Crips, GDs, Vice Lords, whatever the case may be. And that's absolutely an issue. I don't believe in the term black on black crime because black people don't kill other black people. But we do know that gang violence is an issue in our community. But I see it more as a byproduct or a symptom of a greater disease. It's not a cause, it's more of an effect. But there's a deeper and I believe more damaging version of gangbanging that's going on in our community. That's even more embarrassing, even more damaging. And that is, you got religious gang banging, you got philosophical gang banging, you have ideological gang banging. And that's actually worse. Because as a FOI here in the Nation of Islam, but particularly here in Los Angeles, you could argue that Los Angeles is the mecca of gang banging, street gang banging, with Chicago arguably being the Medina of street gang banging. But here in Los Angeles, and really in every city where the FOI exists, we deal with our brothers in the streets because gangbanging is by no means limited to 2 cities. It's literally all over the map right now. You know, I grew up around it, and I didn't grow up in Chicago or Los Angeles. I didn't even grow up in a big city. But when you talk to these brothers and sisters, my wife would bear witness, we got some sisters that go hard in the paint here in Los Angeles. Some of them go harder than the brothers. But when we talk to these brothers and sisters, you immediately find out 2 things. One, that they're not as savage or as unintelligent as you might assume just because of the life they live. That's the first thing you might realize, especially if you love your people enough to see past their faults. But the other thing you realize is that a lot of their faults are brought on by circumstances that were out of their control. The way they grew up. You go into their households, get an idea of their households, their parental situation, the situations with their brothers and sisters. Some of them have been taking care of their own brothers and sisters for years. So you look at the schools they go to, the school system that they're in, the system that they're in overall. The Gestapo patrolling the streets, constantly stopping and frisking them, arresting them on a humble. It's a lot of things that when you go through the so-called ghettos of America, I'm not saying that it's automatic that young people join gangs, but when you look at some of their environments, it makes sense. But what is the excuse of somebody who's supposed to be woke? What's the excuse of somebody who's supposed to be conscious? What's the excuse of somebody who claims that they have the knowledge of God, knowledge of self, or knowledge of the devil? What's the excuse of somebody who claims they read this book and that book and this book and that book and they're this and they're that? What is their excuse? When they know that the black man is God, when they know who is the original man, when they know that we're the real Israelites that are spoken of in the Bible, when they know this about ancient Egypt, when they know that about, the Moors and this and that and all this kind of stuff. What is their excuse? Because you've been introduced to knowledge. It says in the Holy Quran that disunity didn't come until after knowledge, when we started to differ with each other. So here's one thing I'll say to this. I won't just say stop these so-called religious and ideological gangbanging. But, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan told the FOI on many occasions, specifically in the 90s, that when you tell a young brother that's in the streets, gangbanging or doing anything that he shouldn't be doing, and you ask him to relinquish his lifestyle, that's going to leave a vacuum. That's going to leave a void. So you can't just tell him, stop selling dope, stop living the life you living. You have to give him a lifestyle to replace it with. You just can't tell him to stop doing what he's doing, but not have an alternative, not having something, because the reason that they're doing that and that in that lifestyle is because it was in a vacuum and there was a void in their life. And that gang life and the brotherhood that they found through that, and the purpose, no matter how wicked it may seem, or how such a illogical thing that it may be, that's where it came from, a void. So let me fill the void. If we're gonna stop the ideological, the sociological, or even the street gang banging, let's replace it. Let's replace it with another kind of war. Let's replace it with another kind of competition. Because the thing that bothers me most about sociological, religious gang banging and the like is because we really don't have the foothold to tell another person that what they believe and what they think is insufficient. Because if we knew what we claim we knew, and I'm talking about all the so-called conscious and woke community, if we knew so much, then the communities that we represent would reflect that level of knowledge. And then you just don't see the reflection. I'm talking about overall, the whole community, you don't see the reflection for any of us to be sticking our chest out. So let me say this. It reminds me of something that took place back in the day called the space race. How many of you remember on the news when they were talking about the space race? The space race, for those that don't know, the space race was an informal 20th century competition between two Cold War rivals, the Soviet Union, USSR, and the United States, to achieve first in space flight capability. It had its origins in a ballistic missile-based nuclear arms race between the two nations following the World War II to be exact. And that's what I like about it. After America and the USSR were pointing nuclear missiles at each other, they said, okay, let's put the nuclear missiles to the side. Let's see who can get to space first. Let's see who can land on Mars. Let's see who can put, the biggest and most high-tech spaceship in the sky. Let's see who can do that. And it became a space race. Now, what am I saying? Am I saying Bloods and Crips should be competing on who can bang on the moon first? Not quite. What I'm saying, instead of a space race, there should be something like a faith race. We should do a faith race. We should see which ideology, which school of thought, which lifestyle can do the most for our people. What do I mean do the most? Do I mean gather the most, put on the show the most, stick our chest out the most, get a bullhorn or a megahorn and stand on the corner and be loud the most? No, I'm talking about real institutions, real things that our families and that our people can really benefit from. I'm talking about schools. I'm talking about institutions. I'm talking about businesses. I'm talking about what has your ideology done for the community that you're in? What kind of programs are you doing for the people? How are the people benefiting for what you say you believe in? Because honestly, if what you say you believe in cannot be seen, it cannot be manifested in any kind of way, then you wasting everybody's time talking about it. And you especially wasting our time arguing about it. How many people has your ideology fed in our communities? How are you communicating? Where are you on the technology standpoint? What are you giving to the people? What kind of platforms, what kind of resources do we have for our people? Because I'm going to tell you, if we do a faith race from this day on out, I can tell you right now who the winner is going to be. And you can't tell me no different. I know exactly who the winner is going to be. And you probably thinking, oh, you trying to say the Muslims going to win. We might do all right. But that's not who I'm talking about. The winner is going to be the community. The winner is going to be the fact that our colonies, because that's what we are now, we're a colony, are going to become a community. So the people are going to win. That's who's going to win. If the Muslims are going hard to build institutions, build more MUI, build more schools, even our Orthodox brothers, if the masjids are building more schools, building more institutions, more businesses, more services for our people, not waiting on the government to give us a damn thing. And then you got the Hebrew Israelites doing it. Then you got the chematologists doing it. Then you got the nationalists doing it. Then you got the Moors doing it. And everybody, and we saying, oh, the Muslims did that? Okay, the Moors say, well, they gonna do that. And then the Hebrews say, oh, the Muslims did that and the Moors did this? Okay, well, we gonna do that. Well, we competing to serve our people. Let's have a faith race. And then we'll move on 30, 40, 50 years from now to a space race. We'll start having Muslim spaceships and spacecrafts and satellite stations in space. But we got to start with at least having a place where the young brothers in the streets that are gang banging or whatever they're doing, our sisters that are selling their bodies or whatever they're doing, they have something where they can come and not just hear a weighty word, which is important, but that word has to become flesh. It has to be manifested. So let's get down with a faith race in 2021 and beyond. Y'all agree with that? Shout out to everybody that's chiming in. Brother Michael says we got to get rid of fear. He says we got to get rid of doubt, procrastination, decisiveness, the lack of knowledge. Absolutely. We got to do all those things, dear brothers. Shout out to everybody chiming in. Hit us up with your questions and comments because I want to hear from y'all. Thank you for that, Brother Michael. I want to hear from y'all. What do y'all think we got to leave in 2020 as a people? What do we have to leave? Let's move on to number two. I'm not going to be on that much longer, family, but I definitely want to get these out and get it in. Number two. Now, number two is similar to number one, but I gotta, I couldn't just bunch this one in because it's a real crippling issue for our people, and we don't even realize it because we're actually being told through the media and through other ways, even in schools, that it's really not that important. It's not important at all. And some of y'all watching this might even think it's not that important. Number 4, and we count down just like the New Year's countdown. The number 4 thing, and it's probably more important than number 4, but I'm just going to put it at number 4. The number 4 thing that we must leave in 2020, because it is not a good look. The battle of the sexes. Let me be very clear. The battle of the sexes between the Aboriginal man and the Aboriginal woman has a worse effect on us than crack cocaine, COVID-19, cancer, poverty, or anything else that you can think of that we have an issue with. In fact, it's a bigger issue, and some of y'all might disagree with this, but I'm going to explain why I'm saying this. You've been hearing a lot about the homosexual agenda. Yeah, that's a terrible thing. But nobody wants to talk about the anti-black family agenda, which has, it's really festered into the that couldn't even be a homosexual agenda had they not successfully completed the breakup of the black family. What you see with the homosexual, if you mad about I can't watch a TV show without, 2 men kissing. They couldn't even begin to get away with that if they hadn't already successfully broken the black family. They couldn't even find a black writer or a black actor who would even do a scene like that, who would even write a script like that, if the black family had not already been broken. So if you got a problem with the gay agenda or any other agenda, we don't even need to talk about no Illuminati, no gay agenda, no deep, what they call it, deep state, all of that. I mean, we can't even talk about chemtrails in the sky. None of that matters. Arguing over COVID-19 mask and vaccine. We can't talk about none of that. If at the end of that conversation or debate or argument, we are going home to broken homes, cold beds. Now, if you just happen to be single, that's not a problem. But if you know and you have love for the opposite sex within the Aboriginal family, then that's sufficient. But right now, we live in a world that's telling both men and black women that you can do bad all by yourself, and that's coded, meaning you can do bad without your man and without your black woman. Because they don't tell you can do bad without Joe Biden. You can do bad without the Democratic Party. You can do bad without the Republican Party. You can do bad without that big screen TV. You can do bad without the new PlayStation. You can do bad without watching, Real Housewives of Decatur or Compton or whatever. They don't tell you can do bad without that. They only tell you can do bad all by yourself. And that's coded to mean that you can do bad without your man and without your woman. There is no revolution without healthy relationships in our community. It ain't going nowhere. Yes, they're going to keep shooting us down in the street, the police. Yes, we're going to keep being discriminated against. Yes, Karen is still going to be calling the police on us. Yes, there's going to be another Donald Trump and another Donald Trump. You know how many Donald Trumps exist in the government right now on the local level? You'll be surprised how many. I mean, come on, man. He didn't just pop up out of nowhere. People voted for him, millions. So stop trying to lay it all on his shoulders. They out there, and they're gonna continue to be out there. And I'm gonna tell you the weakest link in that whole thing is our broken relationships. You can get a better rise out of a black man, a so-called black man, or a so-called black woman by bringing up so-called relationship topics than you could bringing up Emmett Till, slavery, George Floyd. Listen, don't cry for George Floyd. If the next day you talking about niggas ain't what was George Floyd? I don't care what kind of woman he was in a relationship with, but he was a black man. Don't cry. Don't tell me. Don't shed no crocodile nigga tears for Sandra Bland, but you won't respect or protect the black women that are around you right now, in your community right now. You won't even call them by their name. Don't tell me you feel for them. Don't then take the t-shirt off. Put the picket sign down. To my brothers, listen, stop talking about, black women need to be submissive. They need to have more submission. Brother, submit to what? Look at that word, submission. Submission. That means that sister needs to see a mission for her to get as a subordinate behind that mission. Do you understand? To be sub something needs to be under it. Nobody would reject being under something that protects them, something that maintains them. That's why you like being under a roof in your house. Who like to be homeless? Raise your hand. Don't nobody want to be homeless. You like being under a roof, under the protection. When it rains, you ain't got to worry about it unless you go outside. You like being under that roof, unless that roof got a hole in it or there's no roof at all. So for her to be under something, it's got to be a mission there. You got to stand for something. What is your mission? Well, I got a new mission on Call of Duty. No, I ain't talking about that, brother. I ain't talking about that. I got to stand in line for the new J's. No, I ain't talking about that. Or I'm going to try to get to the club at 9:30 so I can get in free before 10. That ain't the mission we talking about, brother. So if you want her to engage in submission, you got to give her a mission to be subordinate to. And then to my sisters, I know you've been fed for 40 years be a strong, independent black woman. That's another code word they throw at y'all. Be strong, independent, strong, independent. That's fine. That's beautiful. I was raised by 4 beautiful black women, strong, independent. I just ask you this much. Keep that same energy with your enemy. Be strong and independent 100% about everything you do and everybody. Be independent of everybody. Tell Joe Biden that I don't need you. I can do bad all by myself because we've done bad under both Democrats and Republicans. Don't tell me you strong and independent, but then every 4 years you in my face telling me I need to vote or the sky's gonna fall. Wait a minute, where's all that strength and independence now? When we call on separation and spending the black dollar, don't get weak then. Let's be strong and independent in everything we do. I mean, look at our forefathers and our foremothers. They just did a terrible movie. Some people liked it. I knew it. I knew what they was getting into before I even saw it. They just did a terrible movie, a depiction of Harriet Tubman. They also did a movie about Madam C.J. Walker. But did you know Harriet? She had a man. She was behind that man 100%. She was with her man. She had her own mission, and that's cool. Ain't nothing wrong with a woman having a mission. On some missions, a woman will stand stronger than a man, without question. Madam C.J. Walker, do you know who C.J. Walker was? That wasn't her name. That was her husband's name. But back then, you were called Madam whatever your man's name was. Did you know that? And then the women that they're trying to have you look up to today, you got to be careful with it. Because all these women that you think, oh, they're strong and they're independent. No, they're not. A lot of them are mammies and wet nurses. And they're helpmeets. Helpmeets to who though? And to what? Even the ones who are not married. I know you're probably thinking, oh, well, what about Oprah? She's single, strong, independent. No, she's a helpmeet. She didn't help plenty of little white girls meet Harvey Weinstein, who makes Bill Cosby look like Louis Farrakhan as far as respecting the women. See? So if you're going to be independent and strong, and you don't need no man, don't need any man. Throw the white man in there. Why isn't there no room for him when it comes to I don't need no man? Go tell your boss that. See? We gotta put that behind us. This battle of the sexes, because neither one of us are sufficient in our current condition to say anything about the other. And we absolutely need each other. Do we need each other to pay our rent? No. Do we need each other to get a car? No. Do we need each other to go out to eat at a restaurant? No. And that's why they don't have a problem with it. Because they know they're going to get theirs. The enemy knows that when he breaks us apart, he's still going to bring every dollar to us, even though we won't do nothing for each other. He knows we're going to bring him his dollar, bring him everything that we have, give him all of our time, blood, sweat, and tears. No matter what. We're going to clock the day after George Floyd, the day after we hear about Sandra Bland, the day after we hear about whoever. We're going to clock in on his job, do what he tells us to do, and then go home mad about what we heard on the news. So he know he's going to get his. It's a pimp mentality, and we have the prostitute mentality. So, yeah, we got to deal with battle with the sexes. It's a bad look. It's a worse look than homosexuality. Brother, you might as well put on a dress. If every time the topic of the black woman comes up or the Aboriginal woman, you got something slick to say, you might as well put on a dress. Now, sister, you might as well get you a fade, a flat top or something. You know what I mean? Get you some tattoos on your face. Get an ice cream cone like Gucci and them. You know what I mean? Get you a sports bra and a wife beater and call it a day. Just go ahead and go all the way with it. I mean, because that's really the weakest thing that we're doing right now is banging on each other. Shout out to everybody chiming in. Sister Kimberly, Brother Hakeem, Brother Michael says black man and woman as adversaries is likened to Allah going to war with self while creating the duality of man when he in the process of creation in triple darkness. That's right. That's right. It says when the God in the black man is present, the black woman naturally submits to the God. A God always has a mission. And it's easy to be subordinate to a mission. That's why you work where you work. That's why you at that job. That's why you come to that job. Because you helping another man or woman build their dream. And you saw that dream moving, so you put it in an application, they hired you, and you show up every day. And you want to do the best you can for that company because that company represents a mission. And that mission is paying out. And you're able to live. You're able to pay for that roof above your head and do things like that. So, brothers, get you a mission. And you will see a difference in the sisters that you deal with. And then Sister Kimberly says, I shared this one because this is reality. All praises due to Allah. Let's move on. Let's check out number 3. The number 3 thing, we counting down. The number 3 thing that we have to do, we have to leave behind in 2020. It's got to go out the door. It ain't got to go home, but it got to get the hell up out of here. Number 3, deceptive intelligence. Now, this is really a broad one. Deceptive intelligence, because deceptive intelligence can show can rear itself in a lot of different ways. But one certain type of it that I've been seeing lately, like the last few months through social media, is that, it's beautiful that in 2020, so many black people, whether they were actually doing it or not, or going full speed ahead with it or not, even if they were doing it right or not, so many black people talking about starting businesses, so many black people talking about buying land, so many black people talking about investments, cryptocurrency, all these things. I mean, damn, man. That's what Marcus Garvey sacrificed for. That's what Noble Drew Ali sacrificed for. That's what the most honorable Elijah Muhammad still sacrificed for, present tense. That's what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has given over 60 years of his life for us, for black people to start thinking rightly. Even if they're not all the way there, but you still see people, throwing shade on black people thinking about the right things. Instead of talking about Cardi B's new video and all of that, you got black folks talking about Bitcoin, black folks talking about starting a business, and people throwing shade on that. But I'm going to tell you why they throwing shade on it. It's deceptive intelligence. Because if you hate on success or you hate on intelligence, subconsciously that gives you the leeway and the right and the ability to continue to fail. Because if you keep seeing people doing the right thing around you, see, that don't do nothing but put pressure on you to do better. So you got deceptive intelligence out there. Also, deceptive intelligence is envy, backbiting. If you think somebody's doing something and they're not doing it the right way, do it better. Be a clean glass. Show them how to do that thing. Show them how to do it better. But if you really love your people, it makes you sleep better at night knowing that this brother or that sister is taking care of their family better than they could 2, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. It should make you feel good. It should make you sleep better at night if you really love your people. So let's do away with deceptive intelligence. Also, another form of deceptive intelligence, stop coming up with excuses for your failures and for the things that you should be doing. If somebody comes to you and tells you that the sky is blue or the grass is green, Whoever that person is that told you that, or that 1 + 1 is 2, it doesn't matter if the person that told you that flunked math class in high school. Is 1 + 1 not 2? Is grass not green? If they tell you that, even if a blind person tells you that grass is green, you know they don't know that from experience, but you can't call them a liar. But when we don't want to acknowledge that grass is green, when we don't want to acknowledge that 1 + 1 is 2, and somebody comes to us with these actual facts, first thing we try to find something to say about them. See, that's deceptive intelligence, and that's holding us back, people. That's holding us back, and that goes back to the first thing we mentioned, that spiritual and religious gangbanging. A lot of that is deceptive intelligence because it's really self-hate. And we try to put a different, we don't want to gangbang. Some of y'all don't even have the heart to go out there and gangbang, so you dress it up in some kind of consciousness. You want to gangbang on a book. I see you. I see right through it. All praises due to Allah. Let's just make sure that we settling on the best part. Because that's what a settler does. Not settle for, settle on. Meaning you're building off of the best parts of your brother and your sister. Learn from them. Put it all together. Whatever they doing wrong, ignore that. Whatever they doing right, stack that up in your mind and use it. All praises due to Allah. We're not going to be on much longer, family. But let's go to number 2. Let's get right. Number 2. We only got 2 more left. Can y'all predict what number 2 and number 1 is going to be? Hit me up. Let me know. Let me go ahead and go straight to number 2. Keep in mind, family, hit us up. Cash App, Nation Town. $ Nation Town, show you love. And let's go to number 2. We have to leave low health esteem. Low self-esteem, but we got to talk about low health esteem. And it is exactly what it sounds like. We are currently a people who if we go out and buy something that we think is name brand or has some kind of value to it, we'll treat that better than we treat ourselves. We'll go get a luxury car and make sure that we don't scratch it. Make sure that we don't rev the engine too hard. Make sure we put the best gasoline in it. We won't take it to just any car wash. We'll take cloth baby diapers in it and only wipe it down with that because we're so careful about the coat of paint that we put in it. And then we'll pull that car right into a Popeye's chicken drive-thru. Cars sitting on 20s, candy paint, system knocking, 15s in the trunk, leather seats, but you pulling up in Popeyes. We got sisters who, when you go to Macy's or any, so-called high-level retail store, where do you see the high-end handbags? Are they just sitting out? Are they in a bin like the bargain bin at the grocery store? Save a lot and food for less? No. No. The high-end handbags are sitting under a case. And most of them come with something. Y'all thought I didn't know about this, but they come with something called a dust bag. You put the handbag in the dust bag to protect it from dust and moss and other things that could damage the exterior of that fine leather bag that you have. Then that same sister will take that purse carefully and delicately out of the dust bag and walk outside with that much clothes on, whole body exposed. There's nothing you can find in no Jew's store, sister, that's more beautiful and more precious than you. What do we drink, though? What do we eat? What do we put in our body? We inhaling smoke. There's no smoke that's good for you to inhale. None. That's why you go into any industrial kitchen, even in some homes, they got a little thing at the top of the roof or the top of the ceiling, a ventilation system where the smoke from the stove where you're cooking can go through that ventilation system, because there's no smoke all smoke is a carcinogen. All smoke. There's no smoke that's good for you. You shouldn't even be inhaling a bunch of steam. You should, There's no smoke that's good for you. None. So no matter what you smoking, put it down. Treat your body as if you are the likeness of God, made in the image of God. In the Holy Quran, it's quite clear about our value. And I'm going to go over a couple of them. First of all, in the Holy Quran, Surah 95, Ayat 4 or verse 4, it says, certainly we, this is God talking, but he uses the word we. Think on that. Certainly we created man in the best make. Some translations say the best of molds. The best make. Meaning better than a Mercedes, better than a BMW, better than a Birkin bag, better than a pair of Jordans, better than a pair of red bottoms, better than a marble floor, better than a $2 million house, better. Best. You don't get past best. Best means the top. Best of molds. And then it says in the Holy Quran, Surah 15 or chapter 15, verse 28. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This is God. This is God talking, y'all. He says, and when thy Lord said to the angels, I am going to create a mortal of sounding clay, of what kind of mud? Black mud, fashioned into shape. Let's keep in mind, family, fashioned into shape. That over 90% of our brothers and sisters who are dying and succumbing to COVID-19, they have pre-existing conditions, most notably respiratory conditions and diabetic conditions. These aren't perfectly healthy people that are just dropping dead. Family, it ain't like that. And my sincere condolences goes out to all the families that are losing our loved ones. So when you look at that where it says from black mud fashioned in shape, into shape, let's get in shape, family. Not for vain reasons. That's just an added bonus that you'll look better and you'll feel better. But let's be better. Let's eat better. And look at it. It says fashioned into shape. Black folks don't act like we don't care about nothing unless it's coming from some fashion label created by some homosexual European. But who fashioned you? Who fashioned you out of the best of makes, the best mold? But you worried about fashion when you are the best of fashion, walking, talking, high fashion. Come on now. So we got to get better. We got to be in better shape, eat better, think better. All of that has to come together. All praises due to Allah. And we down to our last one. Shout out to everybody that's chiming in. Brother Billy said idolatry. Absolutely. And there's so many forms. We're going to do an episode coming up where we're going to get deep into our issues with religion. Because I'm going to bust up some things about religion if it be the will of Allah. But the brother says idolatry. Absolutely. Shout out to Sister Sandra chiming in. Brother Billy says the body is the temple, and Allah will not dwell in an unclean temple. Now, that's a good point, brother, because that's that links back to deceptive intelligence. You got people, when you invite them to a church, invite them to the mosque, invite them into any type of thinking that could be considered so-called religious. First of all, religion, if you look at the etymology of the word, is not exclusive to God. Religion is anything that you do perpetually. We're going to get into that in a future broadcast, inshallah. But when you say, I ain't got to go to the mosque, I am the mosque. You right, brother. You right, sister. But do you treat yourself as such? Come on now. If you treating yourself as such, there would be no need. You want to know why people been on this earth for trillions of years? But the organized religions and organized religious books just popped up thousands of years ago. One, it was used as a way to conquer people. That's a fact. That's what Constantine said. And then another is because we've deviated over the span of trillions of years. So now we need it. Most people you see walking around on crutches, they didn't always need them crutches. Our elder brothers and sisters that you see on the hover rounds in the grocery store, and they walking slow, and they back is hunched over, they weren't always like that. They used to walk with their chest out, shoulders back. They used to run. Or maybe they didn't run enough. But once you reach a certain deviated point, you need help. And we're people that we need that help. So if you want to use that deceptive intelligence, which is true, that the temple of God is the human being, then you got to treat it as such. Treat it as such. And if you need help, come on to the Nation of Islam. We'll tell you how to eat, tell you how to live, but then it's up to you to make it manifest. All praises due to Allah. Let's keep it going. But we got to take care of ourselves, family, because whether it's this pandemic or the next one, if you notice, all of the so-called new diseases, they all capitalize. They all capitalize on our unhealthy habits and our pre-existing conditions. Cancer forms from the things that we do wrong and that we intake wrong. Autoimmune diseases, AIDS. AIDS shuts down your immune system. So the better shape we're in, the better we are to be able to fight back against any disease that comes on the scene. Last but not least, and we're going to get up out of here after this, number one thing we got to leave in 2020. And this is the hardest one for some of us, for most of us. I don't care what your mouth say. You gotta leave your oppressor. I hope you know who your oppressor, your real oppressor. You gotta find him first. Because he been hiding behind a lot of technology. So now you think your brother is your oppressor. Some of you brothers think the black woman is your oppressor. Some of you sisters think the black man is your oppressor. Oh, you been had. You've been hoodwinked. You've been led astray. You've been punked, basically, if you think that's the case. Well, look at all the black-on-black crime. But who are they operating off of? They're operating off the mind of their oppressor. They're just mimicking their oppressor. So you got to leave your oppressor. Now, what does that mean? Let me tell you what it doesn't just mean. It doesn't mean just talking about it. It means leave his schools behind. Take your children out of his schools. There's a low-key renaissance of independent black schools in America right now. Nobody's talking about it because we don't talk about something unless it's all over our timeline on social media. But the Nation of Islam has been at the forefront with the Muhammad University of Islam, but you got other schools popping up, independent black schools. With nationalists or religious agendas. Find those schools. Take your children out of those schools. His businesses. Take your dollar out of his pocket, man. 98% of your expendable income going in his pocket, but he's Becky. I mean, he's Karen. He's the colonizer. You calling him all these names. He's devil. He's all these things. We keep talking about defund the police. You funding the police every time you go on a shopping spree. You ever heard somebody get pulled over by the police and they get mad and say, I pay your salary? That's real. Where does their salary come from? Their salary comes from sales taxes. Not even necessarily property taxes, sales tax, not income taxes, sales taxes. Because you got states like Texas that don't have income tax. It's coming from sales taxes. You already funding the police. You defund the police. Don't tell that to some congressman. You can do it quicker than he can. His politics, his customs, leave all of that alone. Give him his mind back. The way some of y'all look at another black person or Aboriginal person with the same eye, the same prejudice eye, even a worse prejudice eye, jaundice eye, than the white man himself. And then every year, come December, come January, we talk about cutting people off. I don't deal with her no more. I don't deal with him no more. I don't deal with this nigga, that nigga, that nigga. Think about that. Since we just talked about battle of the sexes and the issues in our relationships, ask yourself this, brothers and sisters. Brothers, ask yourself, if your ex, that ex, that baby mama that almost got you thrown in jail over child support, your least favorite ex, if she started a business, would you spend your money there when you got other alternatives? Would you spend your money at her business? If she started a school, would you send your child to that school, to that crazy woman's school? Would you? If she ran for office, would you vote for her? If you saw her doing something, would you let that influence you for you to start doing the same thing? Come on now. You would go so far out of your way to go around anything she's doing. Sisters too. That man, the man that is the reason that when you out in public, you see another black man, you turn up your nose. He ain't said nothing to you. Your guard goes up because of him or them. Imagine he was running for office. You vote for him? Imagine if he started a business. You gonna put money in his pocket? The same Negro that won't send you $40 for child support, you gonna put some money in his pocket? The same man who didn't spend a dime on y'all when y'all was together, the one you had to pay to get in the movies, you gonna put money in his pocket? Come on now. And nobody has treated you worse than your oppressor. Nobody. And anybody that looks like you that's treated you equally as bad, they learned from him. You ever watch vampire movies? They say you got to go to the first vampire and kill him. And then all the other ones that he bit, they'll die. Cut off the head and the body will die. What is the head of our ignorance right now? It is your oppressor. Separate. Separate. You know, it reminds me, we about to get out of here. But I was having a conversation with a brother. Shout out to Brother James, another supporter of the Nation Town store. I had a chance to meet the brother. I did a delivery, and I was talking to him about, there was a movie. I don't know if y'all remember it. Goofy little movie from I think it was the 80s or early 90s. As a child, I used to see it on HBO all the time. But now when I think back on this movie, it tells you everything you need to know about black people in our condition right now here in America. How many of y'all remember this movie? Weekend at Bernie's. Goofy little movie. If you never heard of it, as you can see, the picture kind of tells you what it was about. But if you don't know what it was about, it's about these two goofy white dudes. They go and they meet with this guy named Bernie who works for the company that they work for. He's their boss, and they're trying to get in good with him. And they're trying to get a promotion. They're trying to move up in the world. And then he comes up dead. And they don't want to be blamed for his death, so they spend the whole weekend holding Bernie up all over town. Got him waving at people, acting like he's alive. Doing all these weirdo things so people can think, wow, look at Bernie. He's still alive. Because Bernie's rich, he's powerful, he's got a lot of influence. And they don't want to be blamed for his death, so they spend the whole movie. They even did a part 2 where they spent the whole movie acting like this person was still alive. Bernie was dead in a mug. Look at the little tagline. It says he may be dead, but he's the life of the party. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us, as Master Fard Muhammad taught him, that the time of our oppressor was up in the year 1914. He was given a respite, but the only reason he appears today to still be in power and still be strong is because of all of the money and the time and the effort that we put behind him. We are holding him up just like them two goofy white boys on Weekend at Bernie's. And he is Bernie. Let him go. Let him fall. Let him fall. He's falling anyway. Thanks to this man right here, he's falling anyway. And the only thing that's even allowing him to appear to be upright is your black behind. So with that said, family, we strive to always try to get some guidance from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan on each episode, even though anything that I tell you that's of any value is coming from the teachings of this brother, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. If I say anything silly, goofy, or stupid, that's your brother. But if I say anything that makes sense, it's because he guided me to it. So let's listen to our divine leader, teacher, and guide as he talks about separation, which last year, the year before that, and even the decade and even the century before that has to be the number one thing, the number one objective, the number one resolution. Because none of our other so-called New Year's resolutions will matter if we don't deal with separation. Let's listen to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan on the topic of separation. And I'm going to leave you as I greeted you in the words of peace. Assalamu alaikum.
As long as you're with the enemy, you're going to continue to be the type of human being that he made you. Because he made you into himself. Come out of her, my people, the scripture says. And even Dr. King in the last year of his life said, I can see why separation is necessary for a time. Come up with the measles, the mumps. You can't just walk around. They put a sign on your door in the old days. You're quarantined so your health can be restored. Elijah Muhammad said it's better to teach separation than to teach prayer. There's nothing more powerful than prayer, but praying in the house of the enemy and living the life of the enemy, you still victimized as a praying slave, a praying freak. So we can continue to pray, because prayer is the greatest force to restrain us from the doing of evil. But as long as you stay in the cesspool that made you sick, all your prayers will never make you righteous. We got to leave him and go into a land of our own where we can be healed and cleansed and made whole again, that God may use us for his glory. You know, excuse me, my dear sister Monet.
Yes.
You know, I'm full. And the passion that I have is a part of my being at this time. Because we're getting closer and closer to a time, and there's no turning back. America is under divine judgment, and so are we. So we can't play around with the truth. We can't use sweet words when it demands straight talk. And who will speak today? A cowardly Muslim that says, I represent the prophet? You're a liar. If you represented the prophet, you would be sending out a warning to a government as low down as the government in which you find refuge for yourself. Cowardly Christians go along to get along. Pastors that are weak. Our children in the street dying, and you in the church with the saved, you in the mosque with the so-called saved, when the problem is in the streets. Yes, that's where Jesus was. Yes. That's where Muhammad was. He wasn't in the mosque praying all the time. The man was out there teaching people, transforming their lives. That's the work of Jesus, not being in a safe place. We got a lot of work to do, my sister.
message.